Hello, hi everyone. My name is Praveen, and I'll be the diabetes prevention lifestyle coach today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Swati, and I'm going to be a participant today.
We'll be teaching the class module 4. The title is Eat Well to Prevent Type 2. Let's get to it. Right. Okay, right. So here's the participant guide. Before coming to the class, make sure you read the participant guide. You must have read this before. Like I said, at the end of the class, make sure you do the quiz for this particular one. It's on the personal success tool module. And, with that, let's get to it. Okay. All right. So welcome back, everyone. This is the, session 4 meeting of the South Asian Diabetes Prevention Program. Today, we're going to talk about identifying small changes in food choices to make eating habits healthier. Before we start, let's spend a few minutes reviewing what we have discussed last time. Okay, so in the last class, we got into how to track your activity, right? So what are some of the ways to track your activity? For example, people can use a good old paper, you can use a smartphone app, they can use a desktop app, many ways to track the track the activity. Another thing would be when do they do it, schedule some time to track the activity, and also what method, like for example, you could actually use a pen and paper to log, or you can use a smartphone app to log your activity. So we kind of did like a sample exercise, and we have tracked, we tracked the time, like we track many other things, like, people going to, your kids are going to school and you track their grades, you're tracking your weight, you're tracking your bank account, like that. So, all right. So I guess that was what we talked about last time. So this class, we're going to talk about page 1. Okay, the session focus. So in this session, we'll talk about how the food you eat can help prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So we want to use the plate method to balance the food groups. We're also going to talk about processed food and its role in your eating patterns and building on your strengths. Ooh, this sounds like a good topic to talk about. It's very important. And then you'll also make a new action plan like we do at last, every time. Here are some tips. Swatika, do you want to read that out for everyone?
Sure, Andy. Yeah. So some of the tips as CDC provides is choose foods that include fiber, vitamins, and minerals, which are found in vegetables, whole grains, and fruit. Make small changes to adjust the amount of processed foods in your diet. Work toward incorporating more nutrients and fewer calories in your diet. So key points to remember: use the diabetes plate method as a guide to create perfectly portioned meals with a healthy balance of vegetables, protein, and carbohydrates. Make sure your meal has a good proportion of vegetables, not too much fat, and not too many starchy foods. Identify your strengths and find ways to build on them to make eating well a little easier. So awesome. Do you want to add something to that, Praveen?
Yeah, no, that's great that there's something called diabetes plate method, which the CDC has come up. And I'm sure a lot of the participants actually have used this to, delay or even prevent getting type 2 diabetes. Okay, here's what does your meal look like? So use the image below or on a paper plate to illustrate your meal. Draw lines to separate how much protein, vegetables, carbohydrates, and make up your plate. Label each session. So why don't we take like a 1 minute to do that, Fatikaru? And then let's try to see if we can actually bring that up. I'm going to try to draw myself a plate.
Yeah, probably you can share your screen after drawing it.
Yeah, no, I was trying to do that on my
So let me guess, like half of your plate should be like vegetables and the other half would be quarter protein and quarter carbohydrates.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, well, let's look into that. All right. So I have drawn one, but I don't know how to actually import that. But let me see if I
Probably you
can actually
can.
show this on the camera.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is what I drew. Well, I have actually have two rotis, a curry, lentil, two, like I guess big spoons, I guess, of those. And then I have some curd on the side, and then sometimes I have a lot of fruits. So that's my meal. Looks like at least my lunch and dinner. All right, so let's see. Okay, there you go. This is what is the diabetes plate method, which is a visual way to create a healthy meal. Using this method, you can serve up meals with a healthy balance of vegetables, protein, and carbohydrates without any counting, calculating, weighing, or measuring. So you have non-starchy vegetables on your left, and then on your right, you have a carbohydrate foods. Below, you have protein foods. So this is kind of interesting, Andy. So how do we do that for South Asians?
So the thing is, thali is actually a very good method
Mhm,
because they have all the curries in different cups.
mhm,
So you can have and instead of a mound of rice in between, you
mhm,
can actually measure your rice with a cup
mhm,
and you can use that. That is actually a perfect way to have a balanced meal.
mhm,
And you can cover all your vegetables, like 4 or 5 cups of vegetables and probably a cup of rice and dahi and rasam and sambar and dals. So it kind of actually it's a perfect way to have a South Indian, diabetes plate.
diabetes place. Yes. No, I agree that I think, although a lot of us are vegetarians, and so, but this is a good, we do end up eating a lot of rice, which is kind of a lot of carbs. And, and then a lot of our food is very much cooked. So sometimes, it has a lot of nutritional value lost in them. So there are some of the ways that we can actually improve. So in this particular one, they say that, aim to make half of your plate non-starch vegetables, which is basically broccoli, lettuce, and peppers, which I believe they're talking about like a natural ones, like non-cooked ones. But even cooked ones are also, I think, are okay as long as they're steamed. I think if you,
I mean, if they're cooked in a right way, I
yeah,
don't think they'll be losing any nutrition
nutritional
as
value.
such.
Mhm. Right. Mhm. And non-starchy veggies, that's good that they make a distinction between non-starchy veggies and starchy veggies, right? So the starchy veggies are the ones that are like
Potatoes.
corn and the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the peas, and they're all very
Actually, sweet
yummy,
potato is supposed to be very healthy.
healthy, yes, but it is again considered starchy. So the non-starchy veggies is what you should aim. Like they actually have fewer carbohydrates, like broccoli and lettuce and peppers and stuff like that. So Yeah, even though like, they say that potatoes actually counts towards your carbs. So
Yes.
you actually have potatoes and rice, all of a sudden your carb actually goes up. So if you notice that, I don't know if some civilizations like Mayans or some civilizations, they actually don't add rice. They use potatoes as one of their carb intake. So and
Mm-hmm.
carb, it came from that like in ancient India, we didn't have potatoes. It came from outside. So
Yeah.
but although it actually invaded all the kitchens, so you can't imagine a meal without having you can't have a week without having potatoes. So that's so very important ingredient. So I think it's good to like keep that in mind. And if you're having a lot of potatoes, then reduce your like rice intake, or try to balance that out. Okay, so enough on the potatoes. So they keep your grains and starchy foods in 1/4 of the plate. So that's good that they're actually allowing you 1/4 for grains and starchy foods, like potatoes, oatmeal, or even rotis, or rice, things like that. And the protein foods can go in other quarter. So which is where basically you're adding your sambar, lentils are a good source of protein. You can have tofu in there. You can have um, uh,
Paneer.
paneer, some, and then, soy, things like that. So you could actually add that, like, mushrooms and stuff like that. So they're all good, protein foods and go in the other quarter. Okay. All right. So now all of the eating might not. Are there any questions?
No,
And
it's
then
pretty self-explanatory.
the last but not least is always drink water. Don't use.
Yes.
Try to avoid
Water.
any Coke or any sort of like beverages that have additional sugar in them. So that's a big no-no. And then all of your eating might not be from the same plate. Think about how other foods fit into your day. Like, for example, you might have like a cup of skim milk in the morning, or and that actually provides protein and calcium. And then dairy provides carbohydrates like milk and yogurt. A small amount of fruit, like you're having a snack. One apple, one half a banana, like that. So remember, fruits also provide carbohydrates, and so these all add to your daily intake. So here are some healthy choices. So for the breakfast, it's a acai fruit smoothie bowl with berries and fresh fruits. For lunch, you can have 2 chicken salad wraps. For dinner, you have shrimp with mixed vegetables. For again breakfast, oatmeal with apple slices, almonds, honey, and cinnamon. It's good that they've used honey instead of sugar. That's always very good substitution. And then for lunch, there's a black beans crust pizza with corn, spinach, tomatoes, and black beans and red onion. That does look yummy. uh,
Yeah.
and then pan roasted Cajun seasoned salmon, served with organic steamed vegetables, bell peppers, squash, carrots, and zucchini. So even though, like, a lot of us, our target audience is going to be vegetarian. So a lot of us will probably end up having, like lentils instead of shrimp, and then even like tofu or paneer with instead of, salmon. So, but, overall, it looks like, really healthy plates for us. So. All right, so let's get into eating well. All right, so before I go into that, okay, so the next one is, and we went through the build, and then we went through that, building a healthy meal, diabet plate method, and then, all right, so let's talk about processed food. So far we talked about having healthy food where you probably have like a home cooked food, but now, we always don't eat off a plate. I mean, it would be great if we can do that, but we always eat out of bowls, fast food packaging, or takeout boxes and containers. So it's really the same idea. you want to make sure that your meal has a good portion of vegetables, not too much fat and too much starchy foods. So now let's look at this one. What's the difference? A processed food is one that has been altered from its original form. So like, for example, a corn, the actual corn from, that's actually, coming from a garden versus the one that's been like, plucked out, maybe added somewhat of salt for preservatives, and then, went into a can, and then later on the worst case, where the worst case is, I guess, is to actually make that into some sort of a chips and fry them. And so, so basically it gets worse as it goes through the chain. So let's just take the same example. You have an apple, and then you peel an apple. So you lost your fiber there, good amount of vitamins. Then you turn that into an applesauce. You added a lot of sugar to it. You packaged it. There are some preservatives there. And then finally, apple juice, which even adds more sugar and, gets worse. I think we can skip the steak section. The less processed ones. So you have a whole chicken pieces, canned chicken, and chicken nuggets. I guess for us, what are some of the things that the vegetarians would have is like definitely a lot of, tomato soup that you want to add, or some pasta sauce or something like that, and when you get this soup out of a can, I really it gets worse as it gets into a can. And what you've noticed is like, even in oats, there's the steel cut oats are the less processed, but then the ones you get, from the store where there's instant oatmeal, for me, I thought that was really healthy. So I ate like a lot of oatmeal for a long time. And then I realized it was not actually healthy at all. It actually had a lot of sugar in it, and it is, it's instant. So it has a lot of processing and all that stuff. So, if you were to do it, start with the, steel cut oats. It actually preserves a lot of the fiber. It's more healthy for you. Any questions or any comments, Swatika?
That's about it. And yeah, one more thing about processed food. I guess we have all these frozen parathas and frozen in the Indian store. So
Right.
I
They
guess
see
we should go easy on those.
Right. Yeah, sometimes you can't beat the convenience of just like, taking it out of a fridge and
Freezer.
like,
Mm-hmm.
doing it. But, it's good to have like a healthy balance and try to, especially since, if you want to prevent type 2 diabetes, you need to focus on that and try to reduce as much processed food as possible. I have and then one of my friends, he actually wore continuous glucose monitor on his body, and he found that whenever he ate a lot of processed food, his blood sugars would go up quite a bit. And he for once avoids processed foods like like plague. If we were going to go camping and we mentioned about this Madras lentils in Costco, he insisted that he would not, like, nobody should eat that Madras lentils from Costco. He said that is like the worst food one can have. So yeah, so it's interesting, obviously, so we don't want to suggest like, don't make like any hard suggestions, but just these are some things to keep in mind. Definitely we don't want to judge anyone for their lifestyle choices. All right. So with this, this part of the session, we're gonna understand what types of foods can help or prevent type 2 diabetes. We can also help participants gain an understanding that less processed foods are better choices, and identify strategies to incorporate more quality foods into their diet. All right. So how many myths do we have so far? I think we are 7:36. Should I stop recording and start again?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Break. Give everybody a break, and then we can start with the next clip.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. All right. So we'll be back soon with another episode. So I guess stop sharing and stop recording.